In today's show, we're looking back at a crazy day in the NBA on Tuesday. 9 games on. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_Beeble and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the app or go to prizepicks.com and use the promo code NBA. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. We've got 9 games on today. There was wildness all over the NBA. We're going to talk about that. Let's get into some news. Cody Zeller. Talked about him on the injury show today and how weird it was that he had patella issue, then came back and is out again with patella issue. Well, he had surgery today. He's going to be out 8 to 10 weeks. That's basically it for him. That's regular season done. Pretty close to it. Yeah, 10 weeks puts you the end of March, basically. The season ends on like the 10th of April. I think his season's over. That helps Nance. It helps Covington. They don't have another backup center. Who knows what the hell happens if they do end up trading Yusuf Nurkic. But their backup center situation is Nance and Covington at this point. Joe Harris, as we talked about again on the injury show earlier today, but confirmed during the broadcast today, he had a setback with his ankle surgery, and he's having a second opinion. And he won't be back until after the All-Star break. Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert remain out for tomorrow. The rest of the Jazz players are back, but they're going to be out tomorrow. While DeAndre Ayton is out again with this ankle, but now JaVale McGee joins him. So Bismack Biyombo is going to have huge numbers, I would think. He's already having huge numbers, but it does increase the value of someone like Jalen Smith. Jay Crowder also remains out, so Smith's going to be playing backup 4 and backup 5. Decent role for him. Kyle Lowry is still out with personal reasons as well for Wednesday. So again, we really hope everything's all right for Kyle. This has been a long time. Not quite at the level of Willie Cauley-Stein or Rui Hachimura, but still quite a while for Kyle, and we hope that he's going to be okay. But of course, that extends the value of Gabe Vincent in that situation. Let's look at the top ads in fantasy over the last 24 hours. Nasir Little up 26%. That seems a lot. Wouldn't have thought he would have been the number one guy you want to go add, but up 26%. Otto Porter up 14%, and Draymond Green, while he's out, Porter's a good ad. Luke Kennard, well, that was a pretty good ad, wasn't it? Big numbers from the Duck today. Still going to be concerned about how the hell that rotation works. We'll talk about that later, but fine if you want to take that flyer there. Terrence Davis up 12%. That one didn't work out particularly well. Finney Smith up 11. I don't know why the rush to add Finney Smith. Biyombo up 9. Yes. PJ Washington up 9. Well, that was a stinker. Duncan Robinson up 9. I don't really love it. Whiteside up 7. Really good ad with Gobert still out with a calf issue. And then Chuma Okeke up 6%, which is all right, but I think he's probably more of a 14-team league guy. In terms of the players who have been dropped the most in fantasy leagues, Kemba Walker down 15%.
Hello.
Yep. Royce O'Neal down 14. Cam Reddish down 13. Reddish, I assume, will play at some point. I just don't see a large enough role for him to be a 12-team league guy. Okongwu down 12. Yes, with Capella back, you can drop him. Joe Ingles down 9. Brandon Clark down 9. I wouldn't drop Brandon Clark. I would drop Ingles. Terrence Ross down 8. Gary Harris down 8. Yeah, they're probably not 12-teamers. Justin Holiday probably would have held on to him. While Fournier is also down 8%, and that's a move that I can totally get behind. We've got 9 games that we're going to talk about. Let's go to the first one. The Charlotte Hornets and the Toronto Raptors. Let's just begin with the weirdness of anything here. Guys ejected in the first 2 minutes of this game. PJ Washington and Justin Champagny ejected. All right, cool. And that goes along with the Raptors lineup that was already missing Scott Barnes and Fred VanVleet. Let's talk Hornets. 125-113 the score was. The Hornets were without Gordon Hayward and Jalen McDaniels, and then PJ got ejected, so their rotation was all over the shop. LaMelo had 25, 3, and 7. Good numbers for him, especially getting to the line. And Bridges 22, 4, and 3. While Rozier kept the assists up, but only played 29 minutes. 12, 3, and 6, 2 steals and a block. A good game from Rozier, but his numbers are always up all over the place. And with all of those wing players absent, we finally got good minutes for James Bouknight. 29 minutes for Bouknight, 18 points. Not much else, but 18 points. That's good. I don't think there's anything to really see there for fantasy, but it's good that he did it. And with Washington out, we had 12 and 9 from Mason Plumlee in 32 minutes. We also got a lot of minutes from Cody Martin. He did as little as you could almost possibly do in those minutes. 37 minutes. He missed all 4 of his free throws. He was 4 and 8 in 25% shooting as well. Just a stinking night. I still think he's an interesting stream with those guys out, but that is a stinker. Well, Oubre also was bad. 9 points on 27% in 27 minutes. I do not believe that Oubre or Martin are must-roster guys. They're streamable guys. Absolutely fine to stream while Haywood is out, but long-term, not 12-team must-rosters. Shout out to JT Thornton, knocking down 2 threes in 4 minutes of garbage time as well. For the Raptors, as I said, they were without Van Vliet and Barnes. I wonder how Fred Van Vliet got knee soreness. Just guess it's one of those things we'll never know. As Nick Nurse is dressed up as a hot dog, pointing around like that, that meme. We'll never know how that happened. They went with a lineup with no point guard, starting Boucher and the Big Sneeze together. Boucher played 30 minutes, 12 and 7. He had another Richie Beno. It's a Richie Beno fest at the moment.
2 for 2.
He remains a must-roster player. It looks like Kem Birch is going to be out another couple of weeks, from what Nick Nurse said. We don't know about Van Vliet, or we don't know about Barnes. They're not expected to be long-term things, but there's some value here for Boucher. A bit of a sell high, but probably just ride it out. Achua had 9 and 7 in 25 minutes. And finally, we got Malachi Flynn. 26 minutes, 11 points. Now, it's helpful that Van Vliet was out, so he got 26 and Banton got 17. Banton blocked 3 shots, but I don't think there's any long-term value in those guys. Gary Trent, a lot of shots, 21 of them, and he had 32 points with 5 threes and hit him at 52%. We talked about him as a bit of a buy low on the buy low show yesterday, but I also said I'm not sure how real all this is. But this is what happens when he gets the opportunity and you tie in opportunity, more shots, and then making those shots. It looks great. Try and sell high off that. Also, impressive stuff from the Jedi, OG Anunoby.
But what about scarves?
OG.
Balenciaga
Stop,
ones.
OG. You better stop, OG.
He'd been shooting really poorly, but went 57 from the field and 83 from the line. 24 and 7, 3 threes, 2 steals, and a block. Great. 42 fantasy points, and Siakam was amazing as well. 39 minutes in a blowout. Probably too many, Nicky. 24, 9, and 12. He has been really, really strong. Top 30 player over the last 2 weeks. Really putting up some very, very big numbers. Let's go on to the next game of the night. And in a day filled with craziness, is this the craziest game of them all? I think so. The Clippers win somehow. I have no idea how. 116, 115. They were literally 35 points down at halftime. And Ty Lue said, all right, we've got a back-to-back tomorrow. Nick Batum, Ivica Zubac, Reggie Jackson, you're done. Don't play anymore. And that's what happened. They didn't play anymore. So when you see Batum played 8 minutes, that's why. They were getting killed. They preserved them for tomorrow. When you see Zubac playing 12 minutes. When you see Jackson playing 16 minutes. This is why. Now, they weren't playing well. Zubac missed all 5 of his shots somehow. Jackson was 1 of 9 somehow. And Batum was 0 of 1. Like, shithouse numbers from all those guys. I still think Batum and Jackson can be 12-team league guys, and Zubac, but they're not high-priority guys. They're back-end players. That's it. But with those guys out, Luke Kennard started. The Duck had 30 minutes, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 threes. That is excellent. You know that I've liked Kennard as a fantasy player for a long time. I've just always been worried about where the opportunity is. He took advantage of it here. If you want to grab him, fine. I'm just not convinced that this... are we going to get 8 minutes from Batum every night? The answer is clearly no. Will Kennard play 30 every night? I don't know. Amir Coffey went from a spud game to a 37-minute game, playing 29 minutes with 2 steals and 3 threes. 29 points, sorry. Big game from Coffey. The Farmers Union, who I think is a drop, you put up this game. Like, you can add him, but it's going to be backs and forwards all the time. Same with Terrence Mann, who had 16, 5, and 3 with 3 steals. Good game. But I really find it hard to take too much out of this game because it was so weird. What I do take out of it, and what you should take out of it, is that Isaiah Hartenstein is actually really good. 26 minutes for the big fella, 16, 5, and 6. And basically, he played almost the entire second half. Steal on a block, 50% from the field, 35 fantasy points. The problem is, he played like 4 minutes last game. Don't play Serge Ibaka. There is no need to play Serge Ibaka. 22 minutes for Hartenstein, 26 minutes for Zubac. There's your center rotation. Also, me talking about Kennard and Coffey and Mann and Batum, Marcus Morris didn't even play in this game. A guy that's got to come back at some point whenever his personal reasons are settled. And he comes back. Hartenstein, I would love to grab him. I think he can easily be a 12-team league player. I don't have faith in him getting 20 minutes a night. Is he worth a flyer over a Kennard or Coffey? I just don't know. I feel like this rotation is going to be all over the place. The highest upside player there is easily Hartenstein. Easily. But will he get 25 a night? I find it really, really hard to believe that will happen. Unfortunately. Bledsoe started the second half, only played 15 minutes. He's not a guy we're caring about too much. Well, it was another decent minute night for BJ Boston. 20 minutes for him. Only had the 5 points. But Ibaka played 4 minutes. Like he's washed. He is just absolutely washed, and there's no real need for him to be getting any minutes at all. And I don't know why they're persisting with him. Unfortunately for him, after a great career, I just think he's cooked. Much like we saw when we get to the Lakers. Yeah, another player who was a great player in the past. Is cooked now. All right. Let's go on to the Wizards. Yeah, we've got to talk about them because it was weird. They were up huge. And the 3-center rotation maintained. It makes no sense. Harrell played the most minutes, 20 of them. 12 and 8 with 2 blocks, but 6 of 10 from the line. He didn't play until there was 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. He sat out the first 16 minutes of this game. I don't know how to make sense of that. Dan Gafford played 12 minutes. He had 4 fouls, but he had 12 points with 2 blocks. Great game. Just didn't play him anymore. Tom Bryant had 11 and 4, but played 15 minutes. They're solid performances. And if one of those centers was out of the rotation, the other 2 are 12-team league players. The problem is, I don't know when they'll come to that realization, and I don't know which 2 of those guys it'll be. I think it should be Bryant and Gafford. But I don't know. Yeah, because I think Bryant, even though Bryant and Harrell are both free agents, I think Bryant is probably more of a part of the future than what Harrell is. And that's what I'd be trying to do. But there's a lot of confusion as to how they're running their rotations. Kuzma, 19 and 12 with a 1-1. Really good game from him. Good bounce back. Beal, 23, 9 and 6. Solid. But how you lose this game up 35, I'll never know. Spencer Dinwiddie, another shocking game. 5 points on 20% shooting. He did have 2 steals. He did grab 6 boards. But he's really, really hard to look at as an absolute must-roster 12-team league guy. I don't think you can look at him that way. And they're continuing to run just too big a rotation. They just need to kick guys out. At least they kicked Davis Bertans out today. But one of the centers needs to go. Avdia played 21 minutes. Kispert played 20. Hachimura played 13. Rui Hachimura, again, people are holding him. Why? I have no idea. If there is one thing you learn from this podcast is that you do not hold Rui Hachimura in 12-team leagues. Or probably even 14-team leagues. That's your number one takeaway from any minute or hour you listen to this podcast. That is your number one takeaway. And where's Unsold? If you want to listen to the podcast, you can be let on that secret as well. You don't need to play Rui Hachimura. And I think he's figured that out, which is a credit to him for figuring that out. I wonder if Wes has figured out that PrizePicks is the best NBA DFS prop game on the market. I don't know if he has, but I have. For a limited time, PrizePicks has an exclusive no-brainer of an offer for all Locked On Fantasy Basketball listeners. Users get $50 for free if a player in your first PrizePicks entry scores a single point. But you must use the code NBA. That's right. This is an exclusive offer available to Locked On Fantasy Basketball listeners. So go to PrizePicks.com. It's easy. It's 2 to 5 players. You just go over-under on a particular projection, whether it's points or assists or steals or blocks or threes, whatever. Just go over-under, put those guys together, and you win up to 10 times your entry fee, and you can do it. Multi-sport. Doesn't just have to be basketball. You can combine multiple sports into one entry. So go to PrizePicks.com today, or go to the App Store and download the app. And all users who deposit and use the promo code NBA will get $50 free if your first PrizePicks entry scores a single point. That's right. All users that deposit and use the promo code NBA will get $50 free if your first PrizePicks entry scores a single point. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. NBA trade deadline's coming up February the 10th, Thursday at 3 p.m. So us at Locked On NBA, we're doing a live show from 2 p.m. through to 4 p.m. over on the Locked On NBA YouTube channel. Join Kim Becker, John Corrales, Antonio Daniels, and Josh, the big fella Lloyd, hosting the show, breaking down all of the moves, all of the analysis over there. So head to the Locked On NBA YouTube channel, subscribe, and turn the notification bell on so that you know when we go live. Let's look at the next game. That's not the right game, as I'm just looking in the background there. That is the right game. The Denver Nuggets, they survive against the Detroit Pistons. And the Pistons, despite how bad they have been, they're playing better. They are still losing, of course, which is totally fine given where they are in their development cycle, but they're competitive, and we're seeing a lot of things really, really step up with this squad. And that's really impressive. Let's look at the Nuggets side of things first, though. They win at 110-105. Big Chungus, Nikola Jokic.
Big Chungus, Big Chungus, Big Chungus, big.
Yeah, another huge game. 28, 21, and 9. He's just rocking at the moment. 67 fantasy points. That's great. And big Aaron Gordon had a 1-1 with 16, 5, and 5. Also playing at a very, very high level. Best he's ever done for Denver. Sell high if you can, but probably just ride it out. Jermichael Green was active but didn't play. You'd assume he's back in the rotation soon. And Jeff Green had 20 points in 29 minutes. So there it is. There's your Jeff Green game, the good one for the next 4 weeks. So don't worry about that too much. Will Barton was out, so they started Austin Rivers. He played 27 minutes and had 10 points. And Monty Morris had 12, 8, and 3. Shot 21%, so it could have been a much better game for him. So we'll see exactly what that leads to with... I completely just lost what I was talking about then. With Monty Morris. I think he's a fringe 12-team sort of player, but not someone who is absolutely a 12-team must-roster guy. Not much else there with the Nuggets. Oh, yeah, the big stiffy played 6 minutes. Yikes. Yeah, you can drop him in 14-team leagues. Bryn Forbes only had 3 points in 18 minutes, but of course Malone is going to rely upon the veteran, even though Forbes has been, honestly, not a very good player for many, many years. But that's what's going to happen. Bones is going to lose out. Thought Zeke Naji did a few nice things. 9 points in 18 minutes, but not enough of a role there. While Cousins had 14 minutes, 4 points, 7 rebounds. And he might not even play when Jermichael returns. We don't know. Now, for the Pistons, let's talk about some good stuff.
My name is Richie Cunningham.
Cade Cunningham, 70 fantasy points. 40 minutes. 34, 8, and 8. 6 triples, 2 steals, and 4 blocks. Good percentages. Top 30 over the last 2 weeks. He's going to be a third-round player next year, I reckon. He's going to be top 50 here on out, would be my guess. Look, these are just monstrous numbers. They are the sort of thing that people just don't do. And I think he's going to be a perennial star in the NBA, a perennial top 15 to top 10 fantasy player. We are seeing it develop at the moment. You could have got him for a real discount in Dynasty Leagues at the start of the year. And we are seeing it really, really take shape at the moment for Cade. So some really impressive stuff coming from him at the moment. And that's great. Like we love to see players really take that step forward. Him starting to dominate offensively and defensively. There's going to be ups and downs for sure. There's going to be shooting issues at times. There's absolutely no doubt about any of that. But the way that he is playing at the moment, you've got to have just a huge amount of excitement as a Pistons fan and even just as an NBA fan. Like what he's actually doing at the moment is just so impressive. And yeah, I think when all is said and done, he will end up as second in the Rookie of the Year. May even get to first, but probably not. Probably we still be Mobley, but he is absolutely flying at the moment, Cade. Good game from the depressed penis as well. 21 points, 3 threes, 2 steals. I think he's a little bit of a sell high there, the old penis. Just because Jeremy Grant is going to return, and that is going to have an impact on Bay. They play similar positions, and Grant is going to take those shots. And surely Grant won't take the shots all from Cunningham. Some of those will come away from Bay. So we'll see how that all looks. But yeah, really, really good game from him, but it'll fall off. Diallo, 14 and 5, 2 steals, 26 minutes, not a 12-team league guy. While Corey Joseph started once again over Killian Hayes, but Hayes got the minutes. 29 minutes for Hayes. Only 6 points, and we know he's bad. Like, he's a bad offensive player. He's a bad shooter. But 8 assists and 2 steals has value. Only probably for streaming, but it has value. Lyles had 10 and 6 with 2 steals. Good game from him. But I think Olynyk returning is going to impact that. And the Flame and Galar, Alf Stewart.
Is that you, Mr. Stewart?
Well, who the hell else do you think it'd be? Get in here, you pair of flaming galahs.
Yeah, get him out of here. Like, he's just not good. And Olynyk's not going to make it any easier. 0 points with 4 rebounds in 25 minutes. See you later, Isaiah Stewart. Josh Jackson ejected in this game as well. Yeah, he was what a waste of a number 4 pick he was. All right, let's go on to the next game. The Pelicans and the Sixers. Somehow the Pelicans, without anybody, keep it close. 117-107. There was no Valanciunas, Ingram, Hart, or Graham in this game. Of course, no Zion either. Billy Hernan-Gomez started, played 30 minutes, and had 29 and 10. This is not an indication that you need to go and add Billy Hernan-Gomez. He had literally been out of the rotation and will go back to being out of the rotation, would be my guess. Because Valanciunas isn't missing much time here. He won't miss another game. Good game from Alexander Walker. 37 minutes, 31 points, 5 triples, 5 assists. Shot 50%, took a lot of shots, but when Hart, Ingram, Valanciunas, Graham all come back, he goes back to a 20-minute night roll off the bench and doesn't do anything like this. So don't overreact to it. Herbalife Jones, the only one of the starters who remained, wasn't able to really up his game. 12 points in 39 minutes, but he had a steal, he had 2 blocks, doing what he does. 4 assists, 6 rebounds. It just looks like a standard Herb Jones line, to be honest. Jose Alvarado, the defense, man, 2 steals and 2 blocks, 11, 3, and 5. I really think this guy's got a little bit of upside to be a Patrick Beverley type fantasy contributor in years to come. Keep an eye on him, probably just a streamer for now. While Garrett Temple, I don't actually too much of a try again. Couldn't speak there. Don't have too much of a problem with him starting in this game, but he honestly just shouldn't be starting in any of these other games when Ingram's out. He's not really an option for anything. For the Sixers, Embiid continues to be literally unbelievable. 42 and 14 with 4 blocks. He was 18 of 20 from the free throw line. 74 fantasy points. Like, that is just a gigantic game. And the thick Hogsman, he's actually doing all right himself at the moment, Tobias Harris.
I think I am a TH.
T to the H.
Yeah, TH for life.
Might be a sell high on Tobias Harris. 33 and 11, 2 blocks, 68% shooting. But good stuff. No Seth Curry, no Danny Green, no Shake Milton. So Furkan Korkmaz played 37 minutes. He had 13 points. I don't think there's any 12-team value in him. Maxey had 10 points with 5 assists. He's a hold. While Matisse Thybulle, this is what Matisse Thybulle does. He came back. He played 33 minutes. That's great. He had 2 steals and a block. And he had 3 points. I don't know if there's any real growth that'll ever come offensively for him. But the defense is just always going to be there. Also, a quick reminder. If you have Andre Drummond.
Get that garbage out of here.
What are you doing? Just move on, man. You don't need Andre Drummond on your team. It's going to be okay. You don't need him. It's not going to be okay, though, if you don't have any Built Bars. Because Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. You've had protein bars before, and they taste like crap. Built Bar doesn't, though. It tastes like a candy bar. It is jammed full of flavor, but not of fat, not sugar, not carbs, no calories. They're all really low, but it's high in protein. 17 grams in most bars and just 130 calories. It's an amazing combination. They're also covered in 100% real chocolate. So get yourself boxes of Built Bar. You're going to want to work out with these because you're going to be just hanging for the protein bar at the end. So go to Built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15, that's LOCKED15, and get yourself boxes of Built Bar. Built Bar is built different. Just realized how long we've been going on this show. Again, apologies to people who want me to keep the show shorter. It's probably not going to happen today. Let's go on to the next game. The Lakers and the Nets. The Lakers win it on the road, 106-96. Anthony Davis was back, only 25 minutes, and he was rusty. He had 4 blocks, which is great, but 8 points on 8 shots is pretty terrible. 2 rebounds is bad. Those minutes will start to ramp up. We're not worried about it at this point. But what I liked is we got Malik Monk to fire up. 28 minutes, 22 points, 6 triples, because we got more common sense in the rotations. Trevor Ariza and Dwight Howard, not only out of the starting lineup, but out of the rotation entirely. Thank you. About time. Monk needs to be starting, I think, over Avery Bradley. There's no need for Bradley to be playing. He's been a terrible player in the NBA for about 6 years and continues to get significant roles. And I don't get it. I don't get what happens. He must be the best bloke of all time because he hangs around in free agency forever. No one signs him. Someone ends up with him. And then he must just get in sweet talk to coaches and plays himself into a role. No, that's not true. Doesn't play himself into a role. Works his way into a role somehow. Monk is a 12-team hold. Just a hold. I don't know if it's going to be must roster, just a hold. LeBron, 33, 7 and 6, 3 steals and 2 blocks. Another great game from LeBron. While Carmelo Anthony played 23 minutes, 13 points with 3 threes. Also brought some defense again, 2 steals and a block. He's a 12-team streamer versus being a 12-team must roster player. What else have we got in this one? Oh, Stan Johnson. He's the other guy who started. He's not a fantasy option at all. 29 minutes, 4 points. That's no value at all. But I think he's going to get a rest of season contract here and be useful enough for the Lakers to use. 15 and 6 for Westbrook. His shooting numbers are much better, but his usage is well down. And it's obviously impacting what he does fantasy-wise. No threes, 50% shooting, only took 1 free throw. But he needs to be playing a smaller role for this team to have success. For the Nets, of course, there was no Durant, no Irving, no Joe Harris. Jim Harden, 33, 12, and 11, did what he could, but couldn't get much going. He seems frustrated, really frustrated. Patty Mills had 15 points with 3 threes. Not much else there for Millsy. He's fine for points and threes. I don't think he's a must, though. And they did start the Sharpie, Day'Ron Sharp, 11 minutes. Claxton played 17 off the bench, and Aldridge played 20 off the bench. So another team going with a 3-center rotation. I'm not sure that Sharp stays in. He played only 11 minutes here. Claxton, I don't know if he's a must-roster guy. Aldridge possibly is, but I think it's just going to be messy all year. 9 and 6 for Aldridge, 6 and 6 for Claxton. 24 unnecessary minutes from James Johnson as well, while Bembry started and had 12 and 4 in 30 minutes. Kessler Edwards played 33. He brings a steal and a block. He grabbed 6 rebounds. He's not going to be a big scorer, but the minutes are there and the defensive stats are there for Kessler. But it's weird to me that they're only playing Cam Thomas 9 minutes as well. Thought without Kyrie, they might need some of that scoring and shooting, but apparently not. Not enough. It's a coincidence, not, but they lose the game. Not saying Cam Thomas was going to make them win, but I reckon a more common sense rotation approach would have been probably a better thing for the Nets in this game. The Kings and the Celtics. Should I even talk about the Kings? Absolutely, kids. Cover them. Absolutely fucking atrocious. 128-75. That is fucking embarrassing. I feel for you, Sacramento fans. Your organization is a fucking joke and has been for years upon years upon years. And it's got nothing to do with you as fans. You're great blokes. Really, really good. Kings are an absolute disgusting organization. De'Aaron Fox was out. Chimezie Metu was out. Terrence Davis, 7 points in 10 minutes. Copped a really nasty fall on someone taking a charge. I doubt he's going to play tomorrow. Apparently he hurt his wrist as well as cut his head open. I doubt he's playing tomorrow. If he's not playing, you probably don't want to hold. Halliburton had 7, 5, and 7. Rough game. Wasn't as bad as the pencil Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. 4 points on 8%. 8. 1 of 12. No threes, no steals, no blocks. He's been really bad. 91st ranked player at the moment. 129th over the last 2 weeks. In a 10-teamer, maybe not a hold. I probably still would, but maybe not. Davion Mitchell, an absolutely wasted top 10 pick, I think, for me. I just didn't understand the pick. 6 points in 30 minutes. Rashawn Holmes, the buy low still on, I guess. 9 and 9 in 23. Heald had 11 points. Bagley had 6 and 6. Just a disgusting box score from a disgusting team. Onto the Celtics, where they crushed it. Tatum, 36, 4 and 6 with 7 triples. He is on absolute fire. Jaylen Brown had 30 and 10 with 5 threes. Big game from Jaylen.
JB, you've done it again.
The Rock DJ, Robbie Williams. Huge game.
Rock DJ.
Remember when we were a bit worried about where his minutes were going? 13, 17, 4, 3 steals and 2 blocks. Oh, that's huge. He's the 15th ranked player over the last 2 weeks. Sheesh. That's just huge. Marcus Smart only played 24 minutes, went scoreless, but had 7 assists. And Dennis Schroeder played only 16. Jack Armstrong. I've been waiting. Come on, Jack. What do we do with Dennis Schroeder?
Get that garbage out of here!
Yeah, see you later, Dennis. I'll see you later, mate. Bye. He's done. Al Horford. 23 minutes, 3 points on 11% shooting. Yeah, I reckon he can go. I'm not ready to jack him just yet, giggity. I'm not ready to move on from him in every spot, but it's not looking good, is it? Blocks are way down, shooting's down, minutes are down. Very hard to feel good about it. Joshie Richardson had 14 and 8 in 22 minutes, but I don't think there's much to look at there from a 12-team fantasy perspective. Let's go on to another blowout. San Antonio Spurs smack the Rockets 134-104. Murray was great. Only 24 minutes for DeJounte, back-to-back for them. Well, start of a back-to-back. 19, 5, and 10 with 3 steals. He's been unbelievable. Unbelievable this season. 13th ranked player. Jakob Poeltl, 21 minutes only. 18 and 9 with 2 blocks. Just a dominating performance. Keldon Johnson was good. 16 points with 2 threes and 2 steals. Good numbers. Fringe 12-y at the moment. Devin Vassell, my man, 29 minutes. 12, 4, and 6 with 4 threes. Just Popovich. Play him 28 every night, please. Please. I beg you. I'll give you a wristy. Please, just play him the 29 minutes. I need it. I want it. Even Doug McDermott was throwing down fucking dunks. I don't know what was going on in this game. 15 points for Doug. But unfortunately, my man Derek White was bad.
Maximum Derek.
He didn't get the buy low bump notification, but I think it'll come. 5 points for 6 assists. Buy low on him. Jock Landau back out of the rotation. Eubanks getting those center minutes now. And Juancho got 10 garbage time minutes after coming across in that trade. And we got 12 points from Thad Young in 12 minutes. Is he going to get traded? Maybe. Is he going to move into a spot on a team where he plays 26 minutes a night and becomes fantasy relevant? Find that a little bit hard to believe. Don't really know where that's going to happen. But again, if you want to, I'm not a big trade deadline stash sort of a person. But Thad obviously goes from 0 minutes to any minutes. It's going to be an improvement in his value. Let's talk Rockets. For the second consecutive game, KJ Martin outplayed the Wild Thing, Jayshawn Tate.
Even the Wild Thing's gone well. I can't do much about that.
Yeah, you can't do much about that, Tate, because Martin, I think, is better. 13 and 8 with 2 steals for KJ. Not exactly a 12-team ad. Pretty bloody close, though. I think it's going to happen for him later this year. Kevin Porter Jr., he's playing a little bit better of late. 16, 5, and 9. Didn't obliterate your free throws, so that's good. While Joshie Christopher chimed in 13, 2, and 3. I just want to see this guy in 26 minutes a night every night as well. The bad news is that Steven Silas is like, no, I'm not playing Wood and Şengün together. Now, the delicate dancer had 14 and 5 with 1 steal and 3 blocks. That's a really bloody good line. But if Wood's going to play 32 a night, then Şengün's going to play 16 a night, and it's not enough. So we need either Wood to be benched, traded, or injured. And I don't know if we can really bank on those things happening. Wood was benched here because it was a blowout. Wood had 15 and 7 in 24 minutes. but we can't rely upon that every game. So it's really, really hard to stash Şengün. Do you think that after the break, they're just going to say to Christian Wood, you're coming off the bench now and Şengün's playing 30? I really find it hard to believe. I would love to believe it. I just find it that it's just not going to happen. Speaking of not happening, Jalen Green. Jack Armstrong. What are we doing?
Get that garbage out of here!
Yeah, he's actually not good. I don't know if he's going to become good. He might. At the moment, he is not good. 7 points on 19% shooting. Doesn't offer the peripherals. You do not need to have him in 12. You do not need to have him in 14-team leagues. He is not good. Gary Bird had 5 points in 26 minutes. He's just a streamer for deeper formats, not a guy that we look at as a 12-team must-roster guy. Before we get into the next game, news did just drop about news on Derek Jones Jr., who has now suffered a fractured finger in practice, and he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, joining Alex Caruso on the sideline for 6 to 8 weeks and Lonzo Ball on the sideline for 6 to 8 weeks. Gee, that's not good. So yeah, that's the news that just broke there on Derek Jones Jr. and his poor little finger. All right, let's go to the next game now. Real blowout, this one. The Mavericks and the Warriors. The Warriors win at 130 to 92. That is a huge win for the Warriors. The big news here is Tim Hardaway Jr. suffered a foot fracture. Nothing official, but that's it for him. Season over. Or at least regular season over. This is like a half a season type injury, usually. He's been a 12-team league drop for a very long time, but you can go ahead, I think, and drop him in every single league. Who fills the void? That's the question. Well, we got 22 minutes of Josh Green. We got 24 minutes of Reggie Bullock. I think you get a little bit of Ntilikina spread in there. You get a little bit of Sterling Brown, but I don't think any of them are 12-team league guys. The closest you'll get is Bullock. Green is the most intriguing of that group, and he becomes more of a 16-team league guy, but I don't think we get any real 12-team moves. You get a little bit of extra value for Brunson, a little bit extra for Finney Smith. Brunson's already must-roster. Finney Smith's a fringe guy. Maybe he moves into must-roster. I doubt that, but that's what happened here. Kristaps Porzingis got ejected. That's why he played just 25 minutes. It won't really cost him anything, but he was rough in this game. 9 points on 27% with 2 blocks and 7 rebounds. Doncic was good, 25 and 8 with 4 threes, and Brunson had 11, 4, and 5. Not his best, but yeah, he's a 12-team league player. Bullock had 6 points in this one, while Green had 4, 2, and 3 with 2 steals. Not much to write home about, but for the Warriors, it was great. If you look at the box score, you go, holy shit, John Kuminga. 22 points in 18 minutes. That's great. 4 triples, 5 rebounds. 89%. Nearly all of that was done in garbage time. Not to say it's not impressive, because it is. But he is far from consistent enough for us to rely upon in 12-team league formats. Probably not even 14-team leagues. This was great, really good, not reliable. Steph had 18 points with 9 rebounds and 7 assists. And Jordan Poole, 17 in 26 minutes. If you did add Poole with Clay out, hold for now. I wouldn't trust this. Of course, this is a weird game. It's a blowout. Everyone was firing up. But it was good to see him provide value with Clay there. Clay played 26 minutes, had 15, 2, and 6. Easily his best game since his return. But there's going to be so many concerns still with inefficiency and missed games and minutes limits that he does make himself pretty hard to be a must-roster guy. I think Wiggins is moving into that drop territory. 14 points. At least he hit his free throws. 5 and 3. Like, it's not a terrible game. It's not a great game. I think we're holding Wiggins for now. In 10-teamers, it could move quickly into the other direction. Well, if you did add Otto Porter or Kevon Looney, I would hold again. There's hardly anything we can take out of this game with such a large win. 12 and 6 for Porter in 20 minutes. Looney didn't take a single shot, didn't take a single free throw, but did have 9 boards. But he was providing good value with Draymond out. And when Draymond comes back, I don't think there's any way Looney can even sniff 12-team. But for now, if you added those guys, we just hold on. The Dr. Gary Payton, just 1 steal and 2 blocks. Only 11 minutes. I thought his minutes would actually be able to go up, but they have not been going up. They have been going down. And he is just a deeper league, streamer. That's really all he is at this point. So let's go to the last game of the night. The Wolves get the win, 109-107 in the end, off a D'Angelo Russell layup that was goaltended. So they get that victory in the end. They were down early, came back, and then the Blazers fought back on a CJ McCollum 3 at the end. Townsy was great, 17 and 17 with 4 blocks, as was Goose, Anthony Edwards. If it wasn't for the free throws for Goose, it would have been a great night. He was 64% from the line on 11 attempts, which is terrible, but 40 points, 5 triples, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. Remember, This is one game after we were worried about his knee injury. Didn't miss a single game and came out and dropped 40 points in 39 minutes. Big game from Jared Vanderbilt as well. 13, 13, and 6, 2 steals and a block. ESPN guys, what are you doing? Please add him, please. You're going to make me lose my mind. Add him. D'Angelo Russell, 22, 2, and 4. Good game from Russ, while Jaden McDaniels started in place of Patrick Beverley and has really struggled this season. He's the 229th ranked player. Looked bad out there. Obviously of no use to 12 or 14 or even 16 team leagues. And Noel and Beasley, they weren't able to step up either in this game. Noel had 8 points with 4 assists, so not terrible. Beasley had 3 points in 20 minutes, so yes, terrible. For the Blazers, Nasir Little suffered what looked like a pretty significant shoulder injury, but he returned. 29 minutes, 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 triples. Good game, 64% shooting. Somebody is going to lose out when Norman Powell's minutes go from 26 back to 30. And it's probably going to be him. You can hold him for 12-team leagues. This is great, one of his best games. But he's played 26 minutes a night this season, and he's 182nd ranked player, Little. And he hasn't been that must-roster guy. Simons, poor shooting from Simons, but 17, 4, and 7 is not bad. And Nurk had 20 and 13 with 4 assists. Imagine we got this Nurkic to start the season. Whew. CJ McCollum, rough shooting, but 15 points with 3 threes, including that key late one. And Norman Powell in his first game back, 8 points, 2 triples, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. Hold Norman Powell, he will be all right. Robert Covington, not great. Stealing a block on 27% shooting, 8 points. The absence of Zeller, the continued absence of Nance, does help Covington because they need Nance and Covington to be their backup centers now, as well as playing minutes at the 4. So still hold him, but that little hot top 30 run is over for him. It might jump back up, but it's all dependent on what he does defensively. But again, the good thing here is for Zeller, it's not good for Zeller, of course. The good thing here for Covington with Zeller out is that it does keep his minutes higher rather than dropping down to maybe 28 or 29 a night if everyone was there and healthy. Let's look at the lines of the night now. The monstrous and the young gun goes to the same bloke. It is Cade Cunningham. Your waiver wire line of the night is Billy Hernan-Gomez. I don't really think there's anything that we can take from that. Your dud of the night is Ivica Zubac, and even that, can't really do much with that, can we? Top 10 players today. Cade was at number 1, followed by Jimmy Harden. Number 2, well, that was Harden. Number 2. 3 was LeBron. 4, Jokic. Then Embiid, Toby Harris, Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, Rob Williams, and Pascal Siakam. Your top 10 players rostered in under 50% of leagues. Bill Hernan-Gomez at 1, take nothing away from it. John Kuminga at 2, doesn't actually mean anything for most leagues. Terrence Mann at 3, 14-team leagues. Bielitsa, doesn't mean anything. Alexander Walker, it was good to see him do it, but so many guys out. I don't think we need to do much with that outside of, say, 16-teamers. Joshua Richardson, no ads there outside of where he already was, 14 teams. KJ Martin, intrigued, very intrigued. A 12-team stash, but more of a visual stash. Like I'm going to stash him on the waiver wire and then maybe add him when the time's right. It's getting there. If you wanted to take a flyer now, I don't blame you. Isaiah Hartenstein, also don't blame you for adding Hartenstein, but there's a weird game. Will they just dispense with playing Ibaka and play him 20 minutes a night? I wish. I don't know if they will, but he showed how good he can be. Drew Eubanks and Trey Jones, absolutely no interest in those blokes whatsoever. Top 10 in points leagues is where we go to now. Embiid, Cunningham, Harden, Jokic, Edwards, James, Harris of the Toby variety, Rob Williams, Siakam, and Jason Tatum. Guys, that will do it for me today. Don't forget to follow this podcast on the old Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, on Stitcher, on Spotify, and on Odyssey. If you are here on YouTube, you know what to do. Chuck me a thumb up the middle. Ring the bell. Hit the subscribe button. And leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.